Yeah, my name is Vincent Bracciale Jr. I was pretty much raised in horse racing and around it. In fact, I grew up in a trailer park in between Shenandoah Downs and Charlestown. And almost every night when the announcer, whose name was Costi Karras, would say the horses are 2 minutes to post, I'd run over, get on the fence with the gate crew and watch the horses load and watch them run and run back to the trailer and watch TV. To the next race, I heard 2 minutes to post, I'd do it all again. Now, my father was a jock. My mother was one of the first women mutual clerks in America, and like I said, pretty much grew up in it. My senior year in high school, I was lucky to win the state championship, 107 wrestling. I had opportunities to go to a few different colleges. I visited, talked with my father, and he said, well, why don't you try to start riding in August and see if you like it, see whether you're going to make it. And if you don't like it, you can go to college in September. So by the time it was time to go to college, I had already won 30 races. So I guess I kept my career going, luckily.
And you had a full scholarship to go to Iowa, right?
Well, I had a scholarship to go to the University of Iowa. They flew me there and I visited. It was as nice a place as you'd ever want to be. And if I didn't get lucky right away riding, I probably would have tried it there. I don't know if I would have been good enough because I wasn't quite big enough for 123. And when I really weighed everything out, and like I said, I got lucky early, I just stuck with riding. I figured if something happened, I could always pay my own way to go to college. Back then, tuition was $300 a semester. So I figured if I could make a little bit of money and it didn't work out, I could always go back. I never had to. I wish I would have sometimes, but everything worked out pretty good for me. I'm tickled to death in my decision.
Okay. And mention, so you started out at Shenandoah. Well, actually, you said you were, what, 6 years old? Or five on the ponies?
Yeah, I rode my first race 5 years old at the county fair at Shenandoah Downs. And like I said, 17, I started riding. I rode my first race at Shenandoah Downs, Charlestown. We were going to Hagerstown in the day and back to Charlestown at night. And it just kept getting better and better, and I hooked up with one of the top agents in the country that had had great riders before me, and went to the mile tracks, and everything's pretty much history from there.
Then when you wound up coming to Maryland and some of the
yeah, I rode pretty much my whole bug year in New Jersey. I won Garden State, I won Monmouth Park, I won Atlantic City. And that fall after Garden State was over around Thanksgiving, because I had a girlfriend here and my agent had a house here, he lived here. We came to Maryland, gave it a chance, and had a hell of a career here with some good guys, Dickie Dutro, John Tamara, Charlie Hadries, Dickie Smalls. I just was lucky I fell into every good outfit here and just had real good luck. Had numerous leading rider titles at Laurel, Pimlico, and Bowie. And I think I was the 6th rider in the history of racing to win 400 races in 1 year. Unlucky, I had a bunch of injuries. Maybe I only rode about 9 years, halfway sound. And my later years, I was lucky. I shipped around the country riding the best horses in the country for good people, and just maybe one, they used to have like one stake in Chicago, one stake in Canada, one stake in Detroit, New York, wherever. And I guess it was me, Pat Day, and Craig Perrette were the first jocks starting to do that, and we all had real good luck. Because naturally, wherever you go, you're on one of the best horses in the race.
Now, you were on Broad Brush for Dickie Small, and you wound up going to the Kentucky Derby. What was that like? And mention some of the other races that you won on Broad Brush.
Well, I was here riding a lot of horses for Dickie Small, but they had a stake race here where the two-year-olds got in with 110 pounds if they hadn't won a stake race. And I wasn't light enough to do the weight. So a jock called Danny Wright rode him. And he just got beat. He was second. So then the next time he ran, I got on the horse. And he won the Tessio. He won the General George. He won the Jim Beam. He won the Wood Memorial. And I went to the Kentucky Derby and he was third, beat a length to Ferdinand. And they took me off and put somebody else on.
Okay. Now, mention, of course, one of the big horses a lot of people remember, Ruffian. What was your connection with Ruffian and Green Tree Stables?
Well, when I guess I was about 14 or 15, I just started galloping. Frank Whiteley came to Charlestown in the winter with some young horses. And my father was galloping some for him. And I remember the one day it snowed real bad. And I was there in the barn and they threw me on one of the young horses and we were galloping out in the field in the snow. And he wanted the horses to go head and tail so that the snow would come back and act like the horses were getting dirt in their face. And those bumps put me last, so I got hammered with snowballs all the way around the field 2 or 3 times. But that's how I met Mr. Whiteley. And later on, when Jacinto Vasquez was riding her and he got set down, I was lucky that Mr. Whiteley asked me to ride her. And then Jacinto rode her again, and then we went to Saratoga and he got set down again. I got to ride her in the Spinaway.
Oh, it's a great field, and they're off. From between horses, Ruffian takes the early lead. Scottish Melody on the outside is second. Laughing Bridge in third position. Some Swinger on the rail is fourth. Down the backstretch, Ruffian has the lead by 1 length. Scottish Melody is second, a length and a quarter. Laughing Bridge is third by a length and 3/4, and Some Swinger races fourth. They move past the half-mile pole and now round the far turn. Ruffian draws away to lead by 2.5 as Laughing Bridge takes over second position by a length and a quarter. Scottish Melody is third by 6 lengths. Some Swinger is fourth as they come to the top of the stretch. Ruffian in command by 2 lengths. Laughing Bridge now second by 3. Scottish Melody third and Some Swinger. The quartet straightens away in the stretch. Ruffian in front by 3.5 lengths. With Laughing Bridge is second. The Scottish Melody on the inside third. And Some Swinger is fourth. Coming to the 16th pole, Ruffian now draws away to lead by 8. By 10, it's Ruffian going easily in front. A magnificent performance as Ruffian, eased under the wire by jockey Vince Bracciale Jr., takes the 83rd running of the Spinaway Stakes. That was the easiest victory I've seen in some time. Laughing Bridge was second. There was no show wagering.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, one of the agents here, Jay Burtis, who's agent for Forrest Boyce, he's a buff on going to flea markets and stuff, and at one of the flea markets he found this picture of Ruffian, and just so happened he brought it in here a couple of days ago and gave it to me. Now the original one of this that I bought when she won the Spinaway, I had donated to Chris Grove's son had to get a new prostate, and they had a fundraiser.
Prosthetic leg, yeah.
Prosthetic leg.
Yeah.
They had a fundraiser over here at Laurel, and they auctioned it off.
And this is the Spinaway, and you said you set a record on that day. That was August the 23rd, 1974. When Ruffian was a 2-year-old. Very cool. So you rode her in the Spinaway, and that was at when she was age 2, right?
Right.
Right. And are you still captivated by the interest in her because she's kind of like a legend, even though there's been some other fillies that have been pretty successful since her.
Well, you have to remember a couple things about it. One was I was pretty young, and at the time I had a little experience riding some Grade 1 races, but never really had an opportunity like this. And I can remember getting ready to get on the horse in the paddock and waiting for Mr. Whiteley to give me some instructions or talk about the horse somewhat. And I looked at him and he just said, "Don't get her hurt and don't get her beat." And I remember walking out on the track and she was getting a standing ovation before the race. So now the race runs. She broke in front, made the lead real easy. I was slowing her down around the turn just to maybe stay a length or two in front. And never really moved on her, and she won by 15 lengths. And at the end, the last eighth of a mile, I was slowing her down again. So I galloped out to the outrider, Jimmy Daly. And he says, "God, bro, this grandstand is screaming. How fast do you think he ran?" I said, "Jim, I never let her run." I said, "They're running 111s, 112s at the meet." I said, I have no clue because, like I said, I never asked her for anything. And we galloped back, she ran 108 and 3. I mean, I couldn't believe it. She was something.
You said she was kind of set stake records of different tracks.
I think she either had a stakes record or track record every start she made.
Wow.
Even with Jacinto Vasquez.
Now, it's funny that you mentioned Jacinto. When I was here, he wound up calling you, and you said you speak often with him, right?
Well, I sort of made an option in my life to keep in touch with a bunch of the guys I rode for. Craig Perret, Donnie Brumfield, Jacinto, and a bunch of others. We try to call each other once a week, twice a week. Just like the other day when the bridge came down, they were all calling me early in the morning here, and it's been great to keep in contact. A lot of fun. The best part for me, one of the best parts of riding is the camaraderie we had. In Maryland, we had a hell of a good group. At Monmouth, we had a hell of a good group. A couple of years I was in New York, I got along good with everybody. Most of the guys, not most of them, a lot of the guys were Spanish, but we joined in pretty good. Yeah, especially at Bowie and all the Maryland tracks, after the race was over, all the horses went back to the winner's circle. And you wait out, and at Bowie, you had like a sidewalk boards, maybe 4 feet wide, and you walk back, and the crowd was right there. Well, before we got to the jocks room, you had the dining room upstairs. And people would be pecking on the window and giving you a thumbs up and partying. And I always thought to myself, boy, I'd love to do that one day. I'd give anything to do that and be up there with people and, you know, not so much gambling because I didn't gamble, but by the time I stopped riding, 1990, I couldn't wait to go to the races one day. And when I got there was no one there. There was no one there to talk to, no one there to have a drink with. And I just, unless I have a horse in, I very seldom go.
Yeah, but you said it was no, even if you finished up a race,
yeah,
you don't go
it was just
have
like,
a drink.
especially a no to go there and have a drink after you rode, if you got done early. It just was, jocks didn't do it. They didn't do it. I don't know if it was respect for the game, respect for themselves, but very seldom you'd see a jock underneath the grandstand.
Okay.
Well, I always say one of my claims to fame about being a jock is I had the same agent my whole career, and I've had the same wife for 52 years now. Not too many jocks can say that happened to them. I first started dating my wife, I was 15, she was 13.
What's her name?
Her name's Terry.
Okay.
And She was raised in Ranson, not Charlestown, but we went to high school together and all, homecomings, proms, and all that. And 5 daughters. All of them have been great. I love every one of my son-in-laws. They've all been good. And 11 grandkids. 2 great-grandkids. Yeah, one year at Monmouth Park, I got lucky and got on Hatchet Man. I hadn't ridden him in about a year since he had won the Jerome at Belmont Park. And lucky I got through on the rail and beat Hatchet Man and Intrepid Hero in a Haskell Grade 1 race.
You mean you beat Forgo?
Forgo. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get the name Jimbo, the nickname?
He was riding at Aqueduct. He was riding at Aqueduct, and it had the tunnel there, when you had to go under the tunnel. And all the fans, after Jimbo would win a race, he could walk back through the tunnel, and they would all be cheering like, a circus or something. Jimbo, Jimbo, Jimbo. That's how you get the nickname Jimbo.
So,
No, really, my mother called me Bo when I was little. And, kind of customary in Italian. If your name's Vincent, a lot of times they call you Jim, like Richard, Dickie, Robert, Bob. So I'm playing Little League. My mom's calling me Bo, and everybody knew me as Jim. So all of a sudden it was Jimbo, Jimbo, and kind of stuck all through my career, even till now.
and you now you're training and you said you retired a few years ago because, well, several years ago. And how did you get into wanting to train?
Well, I always loved the horses more than the people, and I guess I really started raising horses. I wanted to sell them at the sale, and the sales kind of went a little ugly, and I had some nice young horses, and next thing I know I was at the track with them, and I got real lucky early, and I've been here 32 years.
Okay.